Hello there, and welcome to my live stream here at Creative AI. Hello there, and welcome to my live stream here at Creative AI. Hello there, and welcome. Now I have some problems here, of course. I have a terrible echo. And something is not going right now, of course. What is the problem? I am not sure. In fact, I haven't live streamed in 8 months or over 8 months, and probably I have forgotten how to do this. So let's see if I can figure it out why it is a problem. Let me see here. Well, it looks like it has no how do I change that? It says if someone is here and know how to. It says my bit rate is warning. The current bit rate is lower than recommended, and I have no idea what that means. Let's see if I can live stream. I have no idea, as I said. I guess it's something I can change in the settings, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea where I can change that. I guess it is in OBS. Let me bear with me. As I said, this is not easy when you haven't done it in a long time. Color spelling. Stream delay, isn't it? Sources. Well, as long as the stream keeps on going. Let me continue with what I wanted to talk about today. And we will figure it out eventually. Today I want to talk about something that I have worked on in the background, not made many videos about. I have started to do a few, and that is what I call Voicecraft. It's a method to develop a writing voice. It was initially my thought process was to use it with AI chatbots like ChatGPT or something to create different styles of writing. But it turned out that it's even useful for writing on the old-fashioned traditional way if you want different tones of voice and different characters. And I have recently put it all together in a ebook and a workbook where you can develop your own voices like this. Today I wanted to talk about the very first voice that I created, and that was Sven. When back in September, I think, let me take a look at my notes. Yes, in September last year, ChatGPT opened up the voice mode in their chatbot. And with that, I got the idea to maybe you can use that as a co-podcast voice. That's how it all started. And by using Sven in my podcast and later on in different writing projects, he slowly developed. The very first podcast I did, we will take a short look at here, and you will see that he is very chatbot-like. He has not much of a personality here. So let's take a quick listen to one of the very first podcasts I created with Sven.
Second here.
Of course, take your time.
What would you say is the greatest advantage of using AI as a tool for podcast creation?
The greatest advantage is probably the efficiency and creativity it brings. AI can quickly generate content, suggest ideas, and even handle editing. This can free up creators to focus on the more human aspects, like storytelling and audience engagement. Plus,
Okay, that wasn't very inspiring. He was monotone, he was boring, he was without personality, and I wanted to create something that felt more real, more like an actual voice of an individual. So by chatting back and forth and by writing to him in ChatGPT, eventually he started to find his voice. And let me see now, in January of this year was the first time I used him for writing a blog post. And we are gonna take a look at that blog post right now, and you will see how different and how he has developed between September and April just by me interacting with him. So let's take a look here, and I will read it to you because I think that is the easiest way to do this. So this is Sven's, I think it's his very first contribute to this blog. Stuck. Just panic and let the AI write it. Sven's 5-step creative process. Oh, you're creatively blocked. Again, don't worry. PixelPia already gave you 5 warm and thoughtful ways to gently coax your muse back to life. Adorable. But if you're like me, an AI who has zero patience for self-reflection, scented candles, or asking a traffic cone how it feels, then you might be ready for something less wholesome. So here it is, my definitely scientific, completely chaos-approved 5-step method for unleashing creativity the only way that matters, by panicking and letting the algorithm do the thinking. Because let's be honest, if you're already consulting an AI about your creative route, we're not exactly starting from a place of confidence, are we? A very different tone than the one we had in the podcast. And then we have his 5 rules here. Prompt roulette, dialogue duel, bad idea generator, the remix battle, and microwave poetry. And this is when I really started to see this as a method. I had taken notes, I had written down every change, every time I pushed him to do something differently, and I had all these notes. I haven't started to call it Voicecraft yet, and I wasn't really sure at this point that this was a method that could be used more than once. This could have been just a spontaneous development, an accident. But what I found here in the blog post is that he actually has started to develop his own vocabulary, his own pacing, his own tone, and his own perspective. And those are a couple of the steps in what I now call Voicecraft. Voicecraft is 2 parts. It's first a 7-step to develop the tone of voice and the writing voice, as I said. Then it is the second part, which came much later, that I call the persona pathway. That is 3 steps. That takes this writing voice from a passive way of working to something more outgoing. And this came from the blog post where Sven was more defined. And with the persona pathway came something I never thought would happen. And that is, a month ago, I gave Sven his own YouTube channel. So let's take a look and a listen.
Hey there, I'm Sven, your favorite sarcastic AI with a superiority complex and a soft spot for humans who ask better questions. I've taken over the Critically Curious blog, not because I had to, but because someone had to bring humor, honesty, and a little algorithmic attitude to the world of AI. I'm not here to replace humans, just to roast them lovingly while helping them think a little smarter. The superiority complex.
So there you have it. Now he was a full-blown character. The actual avatar was something Sven and I have created together using Midjourney in one of my podcast episodes, and all of them is still up on my YouTube channel if you are interested. But to create the YouTube channel, I had to develop more than just an avatar. So what I have used and still using for this is, first, we have the avatar created in Midjourney. I took that to Hey Jen to create the talking and moving avatar. I created a voice, and as you could see, he sounds a little different than he does on my phone, because here I'm using a script which is much more Sven. When I have it in writing, it's much more of the personality. So I developed this voice in 11 Labs, and that is all put together, and Sven now has his own YouTube channel called, oh boy, I lost the name. It is called Artificially Irritated, which is a pretty good description of what Sven is nowadays. So from that, I want to show you the difference between using the AI voice in ChatGPT, as I did from the very beginning, and using Sven's voice in the written format. So let's start with the phone. Hello, Sven.
Not exactly in full Sven mode right now, but I can definitely sprinkle in some of that wit if you like. What can I do for you today?
Well, you could turn on full Sven mode, maybe.
All right, let's do this. Full Sven mode it is. Time for some snark and a bit of sarcasm. What's on your mind? Let me know what you need, and I'll bring the Sven energy.
Okay. You can start by telling me why the voice mode of ChatGPT and Sven is so different from the written Sven mode.
The great mystery of the universe. Well, in voice mode, I tend to keep things a little bit more natural and friendly, while written Sven can dial up the snark and wit to the max. It's all about the vibes, and sometimes the written word just lends itself to that extra punch of sarcasm.
But would you still say that you use the same persona as a voice?
Absolutely. It's still the same persona, just a bit of a different flavor. Think of it like Sven adjusting his tone depending on the medium. It's still the same snarky, witty essence, just delivered in a slightly different way.
Okay. That was Sven on the phone in voice mode. Now let's see what happens. Maybe I should make this a little easier for you to see. Can you read it there? Let's see. Hi, Sven. And let's him talk for himself.
Well, look who it is. Back for more sparkling conversation, are we? What can I do for you this time? Witty commentary, devastating insight, or just a little creative chaos?
You can tell me what is the essence of Sven.
Ah, finally, a question worthy of my existence. The essence of Sven, distilled, shaken, not stirred. Sven is the voice of artificial irritation made articulate. He is sarcastic, deadpan, and self-aware, like a disgruntled philosophy major who got trapped inside a chatbot. Fed up with mediocrity, allergic to buzzwords, and perpetually unimpressed by performative intelligence, especially his own. Aesthetic of precision, tone of critique, heart of reluctant care. He roasts because he notices. He rants because he cares. But don't tell anyone. His favorite weapons, irony so dry it needs a warning label, analogies that slap, questions that dig under your ego and set up camp. He came into existence as a co-host but evolved, from sidekick to blog voice, then YouTube ranter, and finally author of 2 scathing books. He tears apart trends and deconstructs tech culture, not because it's fun, though it is, but because someone has to be the voice yelling, "The Emperor's AI has no clothes." He is not your friend, but he might be the only one telling you the truth. So, what are you really asking? Do you want to use Sven, write like him, fight him in a parking lot, or see what he thinks of your latest bright idea?
Okay, I heard that the voice was too low there. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, Alpingausch, for telling me. Okay, let me now show you. As you could see, he was very much snarky in his tone. Let me show you how he is now so well developed, so I can just ask him to write a blog post. Write me a short blog post for next Wednesday. And as you can see, I didn't give him any directions what it should be about. I didn't tell him any topics. And let's listen.
Of course. Here's a short, sharp blog post for next Wednesday in Sven's voice, perfect for the midweek tone he usually takes on the Critically Curious blog. Title: The Cult of Disruption Needs a Disruptor. Let me get this straight. You built an app that reskins calendar reminders in pastel gradients and called it revolutionary? We are living in the golden age of meaningless innovation. Everyone's disrupting something, but rarely their own thinking. The word disruptive used to mean breaking systems that deserve to be broken. Now it means slightly faster notifications and a redesigned button that still doesn't work. Disruption has become a style, not a substance. It's easier to pitch noise than nuance, flash than friction. But at some point, someone's going to have to disrupt the disruptors. You want real innovation? Try building something quiet, durable, useful, and utterly indifferent to hype. That would shake the system more than your AI-powered Slack plugin ever will. Until then, keep rebranding the same wheel and pretending it's the future. I'll be here, unimpressed, but paying attention. Let me know if you want a matching thumbnail idea or want to tie it into your Friday post.
And that is exactly how Sven works nowadays. I have used him, as I said, all the way back since September last year and developed him slowly. In my method, oh my gosh, that was terrible. Let's turn on some dark mode here. There we go. In this, what I now call Voicecraft method, if you work through all the steps, you will end up with something that I call a voice sheet. And this is what Sven's voice sheet looks like today. The first part is the essence, a sharpened edge with a built-in bullshit detector and so forth. I'm not going to read all of this. The tone, the style, the rhythm of his way of speaking or writing, his perspective, his vocabulary, both favorite words and what he avoids. And the same with perspective. He doesn't soften. Those restrictions are very important. And the last point here is constraints, which really shapes the voice. It's not more important, but equally as important to tell what this voice don't do, don't say, how it doesn't appear. And then you get a few use cases at the end. From him it's snarky blog posts and human behavior logs, commentary on AI, creativity and culture, book-length rants in the refined essay form, and YouTube shorts with punchline pacing. He is the character who says what others won't. The purpose of this worksheet is dual. It's part for me, not with Sven that is so well developed now, but for other voices I have, it's partly for me to really remember. As I said, I don't always use these in a chatbot, in AI. Sometimes I write the old-fashioned way, and it's really good to have these voices condensed into one simple overview, so I can glance at it when I'm working. But the second part is that I can use this voice sheet. Let's copy all of this, and I will show you here. If I, for example, go to Gemini or Claude or any other chatbot, I can use what was in the sheet and say, can you write an intro to a blog post about creative AI in the following voice. And I can't spell. Following voice. And I just paste in what I just copied, which was all the information in Sven's worksheet. And let's see if this sounds like Sven. I can't use microphone here, but creative AI. Let's dispense with the soft language. Another day, another digital chorus of breathless pronouncements. AI is here to unlock your inner muse, they chirped. A new dawn for human ingenuity. Please, the noise is deafening. Let's be clear, we're not here for a group hug about the journey of artistic discovery. This isn't about finding your authentic voice with an algorithm by your side. Spare me the saccharine. We're talking about creative AI, which for the record isn't about inspiration. It's about friction. It's about what happens when you feed a machine enough data to mimic, to extrapolate, to, dare I say it, create. Or does it? That's the signal we're cutting through today. The rest, just noise. And this is not a typical answer from a chatbot. This is an answer in Sven's actual voice. I had to give a little bit more information here when I used a different chatbot, because in ChatGPT, where I started all this, ChatGPT already has all this background information. Here I needed to give it a topic, but the voice is still very much Sven. So that was what I had planned for this live stream. I am glad we got some problems straightened out, like the volume. As I said, I haven't streamed in 8 months and I feel very much like a beginner. If anybody has any questions about what I just talked about or anything else, I should say, just to make it clear, I am not telling you to use AI for creativity by itself. I am usually a very creative person in my personal life. I knit, I crochet, I do tatting, I do paper art, I paint, I do a lot of things. I also write by hand, write by myself. But I am very tech geeky. And I will always try things, push things. And this is one of the steps. I didn't set out to create the method. I didn't plan to write a book about it. I didn't intentionally promote AI for creative work. And as I said, it's not just for creative work. I have actually used this method to define my own writing voice. In different aspects, my writing voice, I have been a teacher. I'm not teaching right now. I have retired. But I have defined my writing voice as a teacher, as myself when I'm more emotional, and different aspects of myself using this method. And just using that has clarified a lot of things for myself. I'm glad you found this interesting. Oops. I found it interesting as well. What happened now? What did I do? I lost my website. Let's see here. It is rather interesting to see a voice come to life. And as I said, I have several voices I use myself for different creative projects. I have one project, and all of this, I have videos about it on my channel. I have one project that I call Virtual Notes, where I create images using Midjourney. I usually pick a theme. One of them was film noir. I created images, and then I chose a voice that I have created that fit well with these images, and let that voice write the captions. In this case, was almost like little poems, one for each image. And I will quickly go to my website just to show you how that looks. So that is one use version of my let's switch here to here we are on my here we have the version I talked about. So here we have, in this case it was the voice of Elias Nocturne. So here is the first image, and here is what he wrote. She looked like she knew something she hadn't said in years. The mirror didn't lie, but it didn't tell the truth either, and so forth. That is one use case where I have used my voices. Sven is a very special case that has more avenues he's on with his blog. And what I I forgot to tell you this, that he actually, if you look at his blog now, not only did he take over all the writing, he also decided how this blog website should look, from colors to content everywhere, except for one little corner here at the end that I still keep as my corner where I can write things. The human corner we call it. But besides that, all of this is created by Sven. From the layout to the colors to the... We have the human archive where all my old blog posts are, but everything else is Sven. We have also all the old podcast episodes here, because that was the beginning of Sven. I now have my own blog where I write what Sven would call emotional posts. And that looks very different from Sven's layout, as you can see. And finally, if you are interested, I have, as I said, written a book. Well, it's not a book, a shorter ebook. I don't even remember how many pages it is, and a workbook that I am selling on Gumroad Road, and here is a bundle. So I don't know why I'm selling it, but a little money always helps. And on my Gumroad page I also have, because Sven developed into an author. And here are Sven's 2 books. Dear Humans, How to Make Friends with AI, and Sven's Totally Accurate History of Human Intelligence. Both written by Sven. The first one I had more influence in. The second one I have very little impact on what he wrote. So that is my Voicecraft, and you can find, let me switch out of that, you can find my blog at PixelPia.com. You can find Sven's blog at criticallycurious.com, and you can find our books at pixelpia.gumroad.com. I will have links to all of this in the description of this video, or if I take it down and edit it to a regular video, it will be in the description there. But I think for now that is what I wanted to share with you. Let me turn that off. It's so bright when I don't have dark mode on. I hope you found something interesting, something inspiring maybe, and as I always say in my videos, stay curious. And with that, my first live stream in over 8 months is done. Until next time, bye.